for another, I'm back today for another live coaching call in the days leading up to the detox challenge, the 3-day detox challenge that will be taking place next week on Monday, the 11th of December from 6 p.m. Standard Eastern Time, which is 6 p.m. Berlin time, 12 p.m. Eastern time. And this will be a challenge for Black menopausal women who have a sweet tooth, who are looking to lose fat on a plant-based diet, either partly or fully, and who are interested in taking part in this fast. Now, the purpose of this fast is for detoxing. We know as menopausal women, we have a sweet tooth, our cravings go up, and we are craving a lot of sugar, a lot of things sweet, or processed food that may have a lot of sugar in it. And when we, go through these stages where we're having a lot of sugar, or we, of course, like right now or in the holidays, and we are surrounded by a lot of food that has a lot of sugar in it, it's difficult for us to break the cycle. So the reason why I wanted to do this detox challenge during this time, during the holidays, is so that women could see for themselves that they're able to overcome the challenges of the holidays, or challenges of having sweet food all around, and that they're able to thrive during this time by fasting, either through intermittent fasting or through extended period fasting. And this will help them to better regulate their blood sugar and to reduce the cravings that they're having, which helps them to carry on with their eating habits. Their taste buds are reset, basically. And when the taste buds are reset, when we're not constantly eating and seeking dopamine pleasure, then it's easy for us to appreciate nutrition, nutrient-rich food. Because right now, especially during the holidays, a lot of the food that we are surrounded by is less nutritious, less ideal for us. It works against our fat loss. So having the ideal food that is optimal for fat loss, is what we're striving for. And having a fasting cycle will help us to manage that, because it helps us to regulate our blood sugar. Again, it resets even our hormones. It resets dopamine, so that we're not seeking constantly those hits of dopamine, seeking pleasure, seeking food filled with sugar, but instead we are seeking more nutritious food. So this is a good time, even though it appears to be a very stressful time. It's a great time to really implement such a strategy so that you can see how it works in real time under the circumstances of, the holidays, so that you can really see that it is a beneficial tool to use for us as menopausal women who have who have a sweet tooth, and we're looking constantly to satisfy our sweet tooth with foods that are maybe not as ideal as they could be. So I said yesterday during the live coaching call that I would want to discuss today a little bit about how the process will roll out for next week. Now, I did put together a detox fasting challenge guide. It's a guide that you can access with a link that I will provide to you in the description notes that I have for this live coaching call. Right now, the description notes have been drafted, and I haven't yet finalized the link, but that link will be put in the description notes. So once the live call is finished, then you can go directly there and you can access the fasting guide that you'll want to have that will accompany you during this fasting challenge. So the guide is about 30 pages long. There's a lot of information in there, but there really are just a few things that you need to focus on to get started in the beginning. And then as we go along, each day during the fast, we'll sort of address some of the themes in the fasting guide. We'll also talk with each other. Well, we will talk or chat over the chat box. You can put your comments in or any questions that you have, and I will be happy to address them. But we really want to exchange any challenges that we're having with one another, any roadblocks that we might be having, talk a little bit about our experiences, depending on how you're feeling mentally or physically. You may want to share this to kind of get an idea of where everyone else is at. And that's really the sole purpose of having this challenge together, so that we can support one another and that we can be accountable to one another. I will be doing the challenge as well. And it really does depend on what type of fast you will choose. It does not matter which type of fast it is. Yesterday, we went over the types of fasts, and depending on what your medical conditions are, make sure no matter what, you have the green light to participate in the challenge. If you have any limitations, either physical or what have you, you don't want to get started with such a challenge, because it can be very difficult for you to implement such a challenge with maybe any conditions that you might have. You won't have the same results. And you'll be maybe frustrated or even stressed. And we know that having such high stress during the challenge would work against the fat loss, right? So I want to sort of go over a little bit some of the information I have in the fasting guide, so that you know what to expect once you click on that link in the YouTube description notes for this live, and what to expect for the actual challenge on Monday. So we did talk about what the benefits are. I won't go so much into that right now, but what I do want to talk about is, with the types of fasts that I mentioned yesterday, there are about 7 different types of fasts. I specifically, for this challenge, only refer to time restricted fasting or modified fasting. The modified fasting was the fast that refers to the mimicking fasting, where you, on those fasting days, simply reduce your calorie intake. You're not completely fasting or abstaining from food, but you're reducing your calorie intake because you still want to eat. You still want to have your macros, your proteins, your fats, your carbs. This is possible, or maybe beneficial for those people who are training, who are lifting weights, or they're running, or what have you. Maybe they're athletes, and they want to make sure that they're still getting the nutrients that they need, but they want to cut back on calories. That's the modified fasting. The other one is the time restricted, where you actually have a sliding window, and that automatically reduces your calories. So after a certain amount of time, you shut your window and you're no longer eating. So that would be basically that fasting method, which I believe is most beneficial for the menopausal woman, because that type of fast integrates seamlessly into your current routine. You are not stressed out trying to figure out what schedule you are on in terms of the fasting cycle, which is the case with other types of fasts, you either skip breakfast or lunch or the both of them, and you have maybe a shorter eating window, in which case your fasting window is much greater and your results are likely to be much greater. So depending on what window you have, that will determine how your body actually is able to tap into the fat stores and burn fat. But this is all under the intermittent fasting cycle. And that's the one that, like I said, I believe is the most beneficial for us as menopausal women because it's very doable and it helps us to stay on track, helps to keep us consistent because we're not struggling to keep up with a method or a strategy to lose fat. Instead, we adapt to it much quicker. So in my fasting guide, like I said, I have about 30 different pages of the guide, and I will have that available for all of you. Once you click on that link, you click on the link and you'll get an email. You'll have to confirm the subscription, which basically means that you are acknowledging that I will be sending you tips and strategies either from the YouTube channel or from my podcast on a weekly basis to support you during the challenge and ongoing if you wish. Certainly, if you don't want to continue to get any tips or strategies, then you can decide not to subscribe or you can unsubscribe. But it's beneficial to you because it's free information and it really does provide you with support in terms of the information you need about the importance of fasting, and it provides also strategies and methods to keep you on track. So with my guide, I list a number of different, how shall I say, strategies for the process that we will go through starting on Monday. But I want to make clear, because I just had a call with a lovely woman who is a client and she is looking to lose fat. I apologize for any of the noise that you might be hearing. There's some renovation going on and you might be getting some of the sounds. So yeah, unfortunately, that's going to possibly impact a little bit of the video, but hopefully you'll be able to understand a lot of what I'm saying to you regardless. So with that, you will have some steps that you'll take during the fast. And one of that is, how to stay on track when you start with the fast, because depending on which one you choose, let's say you decide to do the extended fast, which means, either 24 hours, 48 hours, or 72 hours on the third day, you will want to possibly have tips on how to stop cravings that you might experience, or you might wonder whether or not it is appropriate to exercise during the fast. And if you are able to exercise, you feel yourself, you're monitoring your own physical condition and you don't feel any distress, you feel like you actually have sufficient energy, then you may want to know what types of exercise might be beneficial for you during the fast. Yesterday, I mentioned you might want to stick with low impact exercises. You don't want to do any HIIT exercises or lift any heavy weights, nothing that will cause a lot of stress during this time, because you really need to concentrate on your low energy levels and conserving as much energy as possible to get you over the several days. Now, again, this may be more relevant for the woman who's participating in the fast that will take place over the 3 days, the extended fast, and not necessarily the time restricted eating. But to be clear, once Monday begins, if the fast that you have chosen for yourself is in fact the time restricted or intermittent fasting fast, then you decide yourself what your eating window will be and what your fasting cycle will be. And in my fasting guide, I actually have a page that goes into detail on how to build a food intake timeline into your schedule. What does that mean? You will want to know how to plan how long you wish to fast. Depending on the benefits that you get from the number of hours that you're fasting, you'll say, I think I want to detox. I also want to maybe have a gut reset. We talked about that yesterday. Maybe a dopamine reset so that I'm not constantly fiending for more sugar. And under those circumstances, then you'll say, okay, then I think I want to do maybe a 16-hour or an 18-hour or 20-hour fast, but not an extended period, extended fast where I'm fasting for more than 24 hours. But just within this intermittent fasting period, I think I'm able to handle that because I want to get those results. And my healthcare provider has given me the green light. I feel as though I physically can handle that. And so I'm going to commit to, let's just say, an 18-hour fast. So if I am fasting for 18 hours, then that means my eating window will only be 6 hours. And if that's the case, then that means I will want to determine when my eating window begins and when it ends. That's your food intake timeline. Your beginning window, when the window opens for eating, and when the window closes. And that is in the fasting guide, like I said, that I have available for you that you can access through the link in the description notes under this video after this call. Currently, it's not there, but I will put the link directly after this call, maybe even during this call if I have a few moments, and then you'll be able to access it right away. So that's your your food intake timeline, and that's what you'll want to consider before you begin the fast, before even on Monday, so that you know going in when your fast will begin. Because remember, your fast begins actually before your eating window. And I'll explain how that works. If you decide to do the intermittent fasting on Monday of next week, then on Sunday, you already have to consider when you're going to stop eating, because from that point until the point where you start to eat, your fasting begins, right? So if you say, okay, I'm going to do the 18-hour, or let's make it simple. Let's just say the 16-hour fast, because then we can work easier with the 8-hour eating window. And that would mean that you then would start eating, let's say, if you decide, and you decide exactly when that will be in terms of your window, right? 10 a.m. And you're going to start eating at 10 a.m. and you're going to finish eating at 6 p.m. Right? That's your eating window. Then that means already on the day before that you want to prepare for that. You may not have ever done a fast like that, had a limited window or an eating window that you have, compressed so that you're only eating within that time period and fasting for the rest. So that might be something new for you. And if it is, then you want to make sure that you are as prepared as much as possible. And that means beforehand, before you're going into the fast, that you have a nutritious meal, a meal preferably consisting of easily digestible foods. You don't want to have, if you're only on a partly plant-based diet, too much animal fat and protein, because that takes a long time to digest, and you don't want to have a heavy stomach going into the fast. You want to reduce the amount of animal fat and protein, preferably not have any at all, and just rely on plant-based meals leading up to Monday. You can already start today or on Saturday, but surely by Sunday, you have to make sure that your meals or your diet is geared towards that sort of easily digestible meal, veggies. And in the guide, I actually have a list of food that's helpful for that. And it's not necessarily categorized under leading into the fast, but instead I have it under breaking the fast. When you go back into eating again, then you want to do the same thing that you do when you're leading into the fast. You want to have easily digestible veggies or plants that you're eating, so that your stomach or your intestines are adapt to it, can acclimate back into the eating process without too much stress. And so those foods that I list are also in the guide, suggestions for you that will help you with breaking your fast. So now you have your fit. You know that you want to start 10 a.m. on Monday and you're going to end at 6 p.m. On Monday. So going into your fast on Sunday, you want to already start your fast then at 6 p.m. Right? That's already prepping you with the day before the fast in the same behavior pattern or the same fasting cycle that you're going to start on that day. So stop eating, I suggest, or I recommend to you on Sunday at 6 p.m. And then you'll see going into Monday how you feel, what the impact is of having, fasted over that period of time, and whether or not that is an appropriate fasting cycle for you. If you're able to go from 6 p.m. on the day before, on Sunday, the 10th of December, until 10 a.m. on the 11th of December on the next day, which would be Monday. And then with that, you'll see how your body responds, right? And that is a perfect sort of prep for getting you ready for that Monday, that Tuesday, and that Wednesday. So if you're able to do that, stop at 6 p.m. on Sunday and then begin your eating window at 10 a.m. on Monday. Like I said, that's already prepping you, and you'll know how your body responds, and you'll be able to, adjust it as you go along. Maybe you decide you're able to go longer than 10 a.m. Maybe you decide, hey, I can go until 12. Then you have a longer fasting period instead of having a 16-hour fasting cycle. Then you want to have an 18-hour fasting cycle or 20. But Monday morning is key in terms of your the beginning of your eating window, so that you know how your body is going to adjust and adapt, at least for that first day. That's for the intermittent fasting cycle. If you decide that you want to get involved with this challenge, but not doing the intermittent fasting, but actually doing a detox, where you say, okay, I don't want any food whatsoever for 24 hours, for 48 hours, for 72 hours. That's actually for the advanced fasters, right? Those are for maybe people who have fasted in the past. They know how their body adapts to fasting. They know what to expect, maybe how to prepare for a fast or how to break the fast. They know how to schedule the fast around their already existing activities. So that's actually very important to consider before you do an extended fast, whether or not physically, health-wise, you're able to. Again, for that fast, you will also want to know or have the green light from your healthcare provider that you're able to participate in such a fast. And also, it's just important because you want to make sure that when you're doing the extended fast, that you're not overextending yourself in terms of the activities that you have on your schedule. You don't want to have anything, and I mentioned this yesterday as well, that will cause you any undue stress, that will make fasting during this time harder for you because you want to commit to that time. And having already fasted in the past makes it easier for you to kind of know how to arrange or coordinate your schedule in such a way that it accommodates the fasting cycle. Great information. Sustainable Stuff says, thank you so much that you're participating. So good to have you. And I'm so happy that I could provide the information. Hope you join, or if you have any questions about joining, feel free to leave your comments here. Sustainable Stuff says also, I tend to fast from 6 p.m. until 8 a.m. daily. This works best for me. Sometimes I don't break the fast until 10. So she does like a 14-hour fast, it looks like, or a 16-hour fast when she goes from 6 p.m. until 10 a.m. on those, select days. But you can see from her response or from her comment that she also sort of does a sliding window. That's why I refer to that as the fasting guide as well, as a sliding window, because you can decide as you go along your window whether or not you want to extend the fast depending on how you're feeling, or if you want to reduce the fast because you're hungry and you're feeling weak and you feel miserable and you're suffering and you don't want to continue on in that way. And it so makes sense that you stop. It doesn't make sense to force it if you're not feeling it. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're not thriving, do not continue. Just make the decision. This isn't feeling right. Now, that's different than being in the middle of the fast and realizing this is hard. Like I shared yesterday that when I first started fasting in the past, I was going through all kinds of changes. Like, "Oh, I can't believe I committed to this. Does this make any sense whatsoever? Maybe I should stop. I can maybe start fasting another time. This doesn't seem like it's healthy. Am I feeling any benefits from this already?" I had all kinds of high expectations about what the fast would bring me, that I wasn't able to concentrate anymore on the other aspects of the fast, right? So I started doing things, which actually I have listed as an example in the fasting guide that I'm providing for you guys. What you can do to distract yourself from the craving. So I started looking at cookbooks. I have a number of cookbooks, and I started going through them to feel better about the fast, because I wanted to just know that I was going to get food at some point. So it was enough for me to have the cookbooks available so I can, sort of go through them, scroll through them, look for my favorite recipes, recipes that I know bring me comfort, bring me joy, that have rich, sauces, or, whatever. For me, that's like lasagna, or like a really good bowl with, like, tofu in it. And when you're thinking about these things, um you know yes, you're actually concentrating on the food, and you're trying to actually, through that, it seems illogical to distract yourself from the food, but you're really distracting yourself from what you feel with the cravings. Looking at the food, you think you would trigger yourself, like, oh, and you need to have that, and your cravings are worse, but actually it's soothing. It gives you inspiration, and you start to look for the outcome later. It's very helpful and supportive, and sort of directing your thoughts to how the fast will end, and that's good with getting you over the hump. So those types of suggestions and recommendations I have in the guide as well. So now I've talked about the intermittent fasting, how that looks, and how you may want to choose how your eating window begins and how it ends, first by starting on the day before. So, giving you just some ideas here. Again, you can look in the guide to see exactly how you're going to go about doing everything. But I want to just share with you how you can use the guide to support you as you're going along with, the fast, and what kind of information is available to support you when you're having questions, when you're having doubts. So I have a comment here from Mistress Newbie. Oh, I like that name. I'm currently fasting from 8 p.m. to noon. I drink tea and water during that time frame. I'm currently fasting from 8 p.m. to noon. That's really good. So, we now have another example of a fasting period from someone who is, obviously uh, implementing the intermittent fasting cycle or method already. And I would be interested to know, Mistress Newbie, and also from Sustainable Steph, feel free to leave confirmation about your results. I want to know, how far along are you with this type of fasting method? Because, like I said, I think it's one of the best ones for menopausal women because it, again, integrates seamlessly into your already existing routine. And I would like to know how you benefit from it, and what your results are. Have you already reached your fat loss results, your goal, your target weight? And if not, what challenges have you had so far? I would be really interested in that. Thank you so much for sharing what your experiences have been so far. And drinking tea and water is an amazing way. In my fasting guide, I also talk about how to stay hydrated during that time period. You don't want to be dehydrated while you're fasting because it makes the fasting process much harder. And also, you're losing energy, right? When you go from the glucose energy system into the ketone energy system, which means you're burning fat. And as you're burning fat, that's the ketosis process, when your body actually starts to tap into your fat stores, into the fat cells. Then, as a byproduct, your body creates ketones, and the ketones is what your body uses for energy, right? And the ketones are provide you another level of energy, because when you're on the glucose, we all know, if you've eaten a donut or something that has sugar in it, you eat it, and then just a short period of time later, your blood sugar plummets and you're completely exhausted, lethargic, tired, low energy. You could go to sleep, right? But with ketones, it's a whole other level of energy. It's long lasting, and it's actually a more efficient way, right? Not when you need a burst of quick energy, when you are like on a fight or flee, in a fight and flee response. Then you need to have the energy as quickly as possible. And so having glucose readily available in your muscles is necessary in order to provide you with the energy you need to, quickly respond or quickly react. You need a burst of energy right away. But if you're if it's not the case, like long distance runners, or if you need energy for a long period of time, then ketones are actually a very efficient way of supplying that energy, because, like I said, it's long lasting. It takes a while before you're able to utilize the fat, utilize the ketones. So that's why fasting is amazing. And let's look at this other comment that we got. Mind and Matter Warrior Fitness. I love that. She says, currently doing 16 to 18 hours. Excellent. And my eating window is 4 to 6 hours. Perfect. Now, if your eating window is 4 to 6 hours, then you're actually doing more than 18 hours, right? You're doing 20 or 18 to 20 hours worth of fasting, which is excellent. And she says here, this has helped me transition to longer fasting periods when I do 24 to 36 hours. That's amazing. That's amazing. I love that, because it's not easy to jump right away into extended fasting. You need a lot of commitment to do that, right? And you really want to you really will want to have to start with that. It's difficult in the way beginning, like I said, because you're not quite sure what to expect, how you're going to be able to uphold the fast, if you're going to be able to get through it. But once you do and you recognize the benefits of fasting and what it gives your body and how it helps with, reverse aging, mental fog, your immunization is strengthened. And then you realize the autophagy that I talked about yesterday, where the damaged cells are filtered out of your body. When you realize the impact that this has on your physical self, then you'll be convinced that extended fasting, not often, but regular, which means it could be annually, right? It could be twice a year or quarterly. I believe quarterly is what, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Mindy Pels, she's the author of the book Fast Like a Girl. I'll leave the link to her website or to the video where she talks about her book in my description notes. But she mentioned, I believe, in her book that if I'm not mistaken, that she's doing sort of like an extended fast over a quarter, on a quarterly basis, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm wrong, I'll correct myself in another video. But this is great, because once you get the benefits from it, excuse me, you will want to do it more often. It's not necessary to do it more often when you're also implementing the intermittent fasting cycle, right? This is important if you're able to do that method, because it helps you on an ongoing basis. It's a part of your lifestyle, and it helps you to manage your food, your eating habits, your fat loss, the management of your weight if you want to maintain your weight, then on an ongoing basis, right? On a consistent basis. But to transition into that, I think it's good what Mind and Matter Warrior Fitness mentioned, that you sort of extend your eating, or compress your eating window and extend your fasting cycle step by step, in order to transition you easily into the extended fast. That's excellent. Thank you for that. And Mistress Newbie, she got back to me. She says, my challenge is what I eat after coming off my fast. I am vegan. I am as well, but the stress for my job and house renovations prevents me from eating healthy. I eat more processed foods, so have to work on that. Girl, that's common. That's nothing new. I'm not even going to pretend that that's not the case with me periodically. The processed food, because sometimes the food is just so good. If you go to the store, let's just say it's a regular day and you go to the store and you don't have like a list already out of exactly the meals that you're going to have. This actually will help you against, protect you against sort of mindless shopping for food that's not going to serve you. But let's say you go into the store and you're walking down the aisle, and somewhere you're have this suggestion in your mind that you'd like to have a snack or a treat, something sweet, nothing big, not a big deal, just a little bit of something. And then you go through the aisle and you start seeing all of these packages of neat little treats, and of course, if there's vegan written on it or plant-based, then, somewhere in your brain you think, that's kind of good, right? That kind of fits into my meal plan and my nutrition plan, right? A little bit, although it's completely off if it's processed, but nonetheless, we're somehow tricked into believing that it's something that we can eat, that it's good for us, that's going to be okay. And that's okay because you can eat food that is processed. You can eat food that has sugar in it. But the main thing is not trying to spiral in it. Like Mistress Newbie says, getting stuck in that and eating more processed foods than you actually want to. So, my suggestion is when you want to reduce the amount of processed foods that you're eating, or you want to get out of a binge cycle, which can happen often, even when you are eating healthy, or on a plant-based diet and eating, 80% of the time optimally, it still can happen that you are triggered to eat processed food or food that's high in sugar, and therefore you reach for that food that doesn't serve you. So, to prevent that, prep your meals ahead of time. And I know you know this, and I know you've probably done it, and maybe you're doing it now, and somehow, you still end up eating the food that you don't want to have. But don't restrict yourself completely in the beginning if you feel as though that could maybe work against you. I know it does with me when I say I'm not going to eat any sugar at all. For me personally, I then start to panic inside a little bit, subconsciously. And then I'm fearful or concerned that I might trigger a binge at some point because I've told myself that I'm not allowed to eat that thing with sugar. So instead of doing that, when I'm out with friends, if I'm, at a restaurant and we're eating, I will order the food that I enjoy. And that might include, dessert with sugar in it, or, like I said yesterday, or one of the live coaching days, that I will order that vegan plant-based burger that's not necessarily the best choice on the menu. Even if there's like a salad on there that I could choose, I will choose that vegan or plant-based burger if I want it. And I'll just do that because that's my way of protecting myself later from a binge or a binge cycle. Telling myself, you're okay to have that if you want to have that now. And then work back into your normal eating habits. Go back to eating the more nutritious foods because I know that that's what's going to serve me the best and going to help me towards my fat loss goals. But in the meantime, considering all of that we're not going to restrict ourselves, or, for those of us who believe that restriction works against us, then it's helpful then to allow yourselves periodically to have that, or who knows, more often than not, maybe you say 2 or 3 days out of the week, I'm going to have the sugar, I'm going to have the processed food. Whatever works for you to keep you consistent, you do that. And then on those other days, where you don't want to have, where you commit to not having the sugar or the processed food, and then go back to prepping those meals with all of the nutritious ingredients that you enjoy. So pick a particular meal that you really, really like, that you've made before, that it's super good, and that you make it really well. And it's always, it always meets that craving that you have. Like I said, lately I've been eating like lasagna with like tofu in it for protein, but also for the taste. It's such the comfort food. You can have lasagna with eggplant as your layers instead of noodles, but I'm not gonna lie, I've been having it with the actual lasagna noodles. Anyone? Anyone? I mean, you know what I mean? I'm gonna continue to eat that because it tastes good. That doesn't mean that I won't prepare lasagna later with the eggplant layers, right? So I do what I can, and I do what I enjoy, and I do what makes the most sense to optimize or maximize my eating habits, keep me on track, and to stay motivated, because it's all about the motivation. If you're not motivated with the food that you're eating because you're having food that you don't like, or that doesn't hit in the way that other foods do, you're not going to stay consistent anyway. You're going to start looking for foods that bring you joy that may be way over the top in the other direction. So it's good to kind of really balance it out. It's really, really about balance, but not denying yourself and being authentic with yourself. Just saying, what do I like? What do I enjoy? What do I feel good about eating? And not think about, oh no, I'm not going to eat that because it's not a part of the menu, of the vegan menu or the plant-based menu that's ideal, or it's not a part of the whole foods plant-based package, that we know is the best for our bodies. Even though it's not on that list, you still can engage in foods that you enjoy because you want to delight in the foods that you consume. You want to still live and enjoy yourself, right? Okay, I'm not even sure if I answered your question, or did you even have a question? No, it was about the processed food. You eat more processed foods, so you have to work on that. And that was a suggestion, prepping your food in order to have food that's really, really good, that you really like, already available, so you don't necessarily reach for the processed food. And when you're going to the grocery store, make sure you have a list of the ingredients that you need for maybe meals that you already plan ahead of time. And you don't have to have a whole bunch of them. You literally can cycle one dish or two dishes throughout the entire week. Like I do that. I will meal prep lasagna, and right now I'm doing OMAD, or my window is at 4 hours, eating windows at 4 hours. After I eat that, I'm full until my window closes. I will eat dessert, and I might even, have something else within that time period if it's small, if I'm feeling as though I still can eat something. But I will eat that meal and a little bit of something else throughout the entire week. And I'm okay with that. I'm completely satisfied with that. You don't have to necessarily have, different meals 3-4 times during the day, each day of the week. It's really good to eat that food that you enjoy. And if it happens to be one meal or one dish every day for, like, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then so be it. Is that going to help you with your fat loss goals? Is that going to help you stay on track? If it does, then carry on, right? Keep it moving. Don't have to justify it to anyone, right? We're doing this to support ourselves, to get us through, to overcome, to thrive. And it's all about our own individual journeys anyway. We can do it together. We encourage each other, we support each other, but we still have to come up with our own plan and system to reach our individual fat loss goals. Okay, let's see. Mind Over Matter says, Mind and Matter Warrior Fitness says, my longest fast last week was 66 hours and I felt awesome. Ooh, girl, let me see. Oh, okay, that's still under the 3-day fast. So it's not quite 72 hours, right? It's 2 days and hold on a second. I just showed myself with my math skills. Hold on a second. Okay. 66 minus 48 is 18. Wow, that's really good. 18 hours, that's almost a full day. That's really, really close to a 72-hour fast. But it's a lot. It's really a lot. And I'm proud of you. I know you're proud of you, but I'm proud of you. That's really good. And for those of us who are going to go into that fasting period, who are going to join the challenge on Monday and will commit to the extended fast, which means more than 24 hours, wherever you decide you want to fall, whether it's 24, or it doesn't have to be 24, 48, 36, 72. It can be 66, for example, like Mind and Matter Warrior Fitness, right? It can be a smaller window, or, part of, the 24-hour fast and part of another day, or 2 days and part of the third day, whatever you decide. It's really, really up to you. So I'm proud of you. The 66 hours, I know it felt awesome, because I know how that feels when you get over that first day, when you get over the second day. In the first day, it's a little bit shaky. I even talk about that in the fasting guide. The fasting guide, like I said, anyone who's just now joining, I'm going to leave the link to the fasting guide that you'll want to use to accompany you during the fasting challenge on Monday. I will leave that link in the description notes for this live coaching call. And underneath, right now I have, some notes in there now, but I will actually put the link for the fasting guide in that. So you can then click on it. You'll get an email. You'll need to confirm that you are subscribing and that you will, accept getting the tips and strategies on a weekly basis. But in that email, you'll confirm, and then you'll get eventually an email. Will just take, a few minutes after that confirmation email, you'll get the email with the actual link for this fasting guide. Okay. So keep checking your inbox and also look in your junk mail just in case to see if the fasting guide is there if you don't see it right away in your primary inbox. Okay, so 66 hours is good. Mind and Matter Warrior Fitness is already in the mix and is benefiting from the extended fast and is a testimony for all of us. Mistress Newbie says, I'm mixing this up. Right. Mistress Newbie, I already addressed your one issue about the processed foods. Then Mistress Newbie says, I fast one time for 2 days straight. Oh, and I felt so energized. That's great. So it has its benefits. Just need to get back into the headspace. Right. Exactly. And it helps, I think, if you know that others are fasting with you. You know that everyone's sort of going through it together, and you can kind of feel supported through that. No, okay, I'm this is difficult right now. I'm having cravings. I'm feeling as though this is a bit much for me. Not sure if I can actually see it through. And knowing that there are others going through the same thing, that helps a little bit. And when we share at the end of the day, or it's actually going to be the end of my day, but the afternoon for maybe most of you, because I know most of you are actually on the Eastern Standard Time. It'll be 12 p.m. your time, 6 p.m. my time. When we share during that time, we'll exchange our feelings, our experiences, our roadblocks, what problems we're having, how do we feel physically, maybe even the good benefits that you get from fasting. We can share that as well. And that will help encourage us, right? We'll be able to support one another through our comments, through the chat, through the live chat. And I think that's great because I think that that will help get over the hump in some cases for those who are new at fasting. Again, not all of us are going to do the extended fast. I will do the extended fast for the 1, 2, and 3 days altogether. And everyone at any given time can say, I'm under distress. I'm not feeling as though I'm able to go through with this. And you have the freedom to stop the fast, right? It's up to you how you're feeling. And if you decide that it's that you're finished, that you've gotten the most out of it that you can, and you're not able to move forward, then that's fine too. I just encourage you to continue on with the call so that we can share what experiences you had and what you were thinking, what your thought process was, so that we can sort of address those issues and maybe come up with other ways that may not be in the fasting guide already that can help you for future fasts. Maybe that fast is already enough. Listening to you or considering what you said, fast one time for 2 days, that's great. Maybe that really was enough. You said you felt very energized. And I know that after a certain amount of time, you do start to reap the benefits. And maybe that's all you needed. And then, it jump-started your eating habits for the rest of your fat loss journey or your, fitness journey, wherever you are. It could be that you're not going to participate in the fast or you're not fasting for fat loss. But most of the women who are in this community, I assume, are wanting to lose fat. And therefore, I assume that you will use this challenge to jumpstart your fat loss. Now, I do want to explain that when you lose fat, depending on, which fasting method you use, whether it's the intermittent fasting with the sliding window that I like to refer to, or it's the other fast, the extended fast over the 24 hours or 48 hours or 72-hour period, you will have fat loss, right? It will be, um, I like to say, and depending on what your results are and how you continue on after that fast, it's considered to be temporary fat loss because many people, I don't want to say most, but many people after an extended fast, their hunger signals are, they change and they're impacted. And after the fast, it could be that you start to really crave food. You're hungry. You really feel like you want to have food. And the amount of food that you eat is more than the calories your body actually needs. So you end up not only gaining the weight back that you had before the fast, but even more. That's why after the fast, it's important. And we'll talk about that on Wednesday. For those of you who are joining the challenge, how certain strategies or how certain behavior can help you to protect yourself against getting that fat back or gaining the weight back that you lost during the fast. So that's going to be key. That's going to be very important on our last day on Wednesday to discuss how to continue with your fat loss journey after you've ended a fast, like a detox fast or, an initial fast. Maybe this is the first time you're ever fasting. You want to know what it's all about and how to get started and what it means and how your body responds. We're going to discuss on Wednesday how to carry on from that point and make the most out of the fast that you've done, because you don't want to start a fast, lose the weight. You're completely thrilled and excited. You feel great. And then you gain all the weight back, possibly from eating food that is not at all good for you, right? So, because you just worked your way back into that behavior because of how your body responded and how your mind is responding to the fast that you went through. So there are a lot of different components that we have to consider with the fast, and I will address those on Wednesday and on a daily basis, actually, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because there will be questions that you may have that you want to have addressed as we're going through it, and I will be, sort of talking about them on a daily basis. It's 7:30. I apologize for the noise that's going on. We have renovations. You may not hear it at all. You know what? Maybe you can put in the chat if you do hear the noise. I apologize if it's blocking you from being able to hear me fully. But yeah, we have to sort of roll with that, unfortunately. Okay. So now I'm looking at, let's see, what do we have here? Mistress Newbie, my challenge is what I eat after coming off the fast. I fast one time for 2 days. We've read that from Mistress Newbie. Mind and Matter Warrior Fitness says, I'm 37 and being proactive on my 66-hour fast. I went from 142 to 138.8, and my goal is to lose 10 more pounds. So you want to get down to 128 or 130 pounds. That is phenomenal what you have achieved so far. I want to redo my A1C. I was within the normal range, but close to the pre-diabetic range. Okay, that is good to share, because the fasting, we know, and as you know, because being pre-diabetic, you've probably looked into how you can heal your body from the symptoms of diabetes, or having pre-diabetes, you want to heal from that. And therefore, you've probably been looking into what types of strategies or what types of therapies you can use. And fasting, as we know, as we discussed yesterday as well, is a very, very good method for addressing diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, for example, adult onset, or having similar symptoms. Insulin resistance, for example, could be very, very high, and therefore fasting is also helpful for that. So metabolic issues in general are well addressed by fasting, and not necessarily the extended fast. The extended fast obviously will address it very significantly, have a very high impact on those type of symptoms, any metabolic issues. But intermittent fasting on an ongoing basis will as well, because even when you within one day fast, not extended more than 24 hours, but just within a day, if you are able to compress your eating window to a small window and increase your fast, then you're really able to manage your insulin. You're able to manage your blood sugar levels better, because the longer you have the fasting period, the easier you're able to access those fat cells. Because I mentioned that yesterday, when you're eating sugar over a long period of time, you've had a lot of sugar, then the sugar that you have over and above will be stored. It goes into your muscles to be used right away for all of the daily functions that we have, for walking, for operating, walking up the steps, taking a shower, whatever we want to do. That glucose in our muscles is used right away. It's readily available. But anything that's stored, that's in our blood, sugar, and is not transported with the help of insulin to our cells, it will automatically be stored as glycogen in our liver and in our fat cells. And so these extended fasts are able to get into those fat cells much quicker. And if we don't have an extended fast, and instead we have an eating window, a sliding in eating window, we're able to compress it in such a way that we're able to still extend our fasting period and allow our bodies to tap into those fat cells, to tap into those storages, where the glycogen is, and to restore our liver. That's a wonderful thing. That's what we want to do. So I'm happy to hear that about, I believe it was Mind Over Matter. I applaud your efforts so far. It sounds really great that you're on the right path, on your 66-hour fast, feeling awesome, feeling energized, and moving forward. Again, you're a testimony, and I love your story. I'm so glad that you shared it, and I really hope that you continue on, and I'm available for any support. I see that you are far along and may not need as much, but if you need any support or high five or whatever, you can reach out to me. I'm thrilled about your results so far, and I'm available to root you on. Thank you that you're glad that you found my channel, Mind and Matter Warrior Fitness. Like I said, I'm very happy that you stopped by. I wish you also a great day, and I'm so glad that you joined the community. I will leave the link of the fasting guide in the description notes. It is free. Obviously, it's free, right? I mean, we're going to be doing this challenge. It's great to have this information to accompany you during the challenge. So it's going to be available for free. You just need to click on the link, and you will get the fasting guide in your inbox with all the information. And it will be available for you for support. Okay, and so Brown Girls Invest 2 Hey Dee, I'm glad I'm catching this. So happy that you've joined us. So glad that you are here. Um, yes, 66 hours. That's what she said she did. I'm impressed, happy, thrilled for her that she was able to achieve that. And it's like I said, it's really great for her and for her journey, particularly with the health conditions that she has, being pre-diabetic. Doing a fast like this is very, very helpful and very supportive, will manage those metabolic issues that medication won't necessarily be able to achieve. We're quick to get the medication in some cases when we go to seek help from medical professions or from medical specialists, they automatically prescribe the medications, right? They don't look into what other methods could help us to achieve our health, improved health, our fat loss goals. Instead, it's a quick fix and they, prescribe. And in some cases, obviously, the medication is necessary. So, completely excluding it may not be possible in a number of cases. But my suggestion is that alongside the medical specialist, to be an advocate for your health and look into how you can manage your health, manage your fat loss with gentler methods, with methods that are helpful and that work, that are proven to work, that are effective, but that don't pump you up with chemicals. Like I said, if you need to take the medication, then that is powerful and you've got to do it and do it so that you can get better. And if you have to continue on with it, you still can do other things that will support you and will accompany you on your fat loss journey or your health journey, without having to, get more medication. But the medication that you need, if you need it, certainly take it. Always be in dialogue or in consultation with the healthcare professionals. But on the side, like I said, continue to be an advocate for yourself. Do what you can do in terms of your eating habits, in terms of eating, a diet that's rich in nutrients, optimally whole food, plant-based, as much as possible, whether it's in part or fully. And this will already make such a difference with your health and with fat loss. Let's see here. So Brown Girls Invest 2 says, is this geared toward intermittent fasting? Yes. This live coaching call is geared towards intermittent fasting. It's also geared towards extended fasting. So for those of you who are just joining, this is actually a kickoff for a 3-day detox fasting challenge. It's called Lose Sugar, Lose Fat. And the purpose is to detoxify sugar or chemicals or the effects of processed food, even in the middle of the holidays, so that we can restore our health. We can restore our blood sugar. We can reset our gut health. We can reset our dopamine hormones, because we know that having high dopamine levels, and constantly seeking food that does not serve us will keep us in the cycle, will keep us in the sugar binge cycle. So by doing this detoxification, we're able to reset our internal system and we can allow ourselves to benefit from the fast, being able to tap into those fat cells, into those, into the liver, into the fat cells, to release the sugar that's been stored probably for years, right? One step at a time. Doesn't happen right away. There are people who have extended period of fast just to ensure that they're constantly, working on, um, stabilizing their blood sugar, but also working down the sugar that they have stored over a number of years. And you see in your values how your body is adapting or benefiting from fasting, your blood values. So it's good to get the most that you can out of it, to really use fasting, whether it's intermittent fasting or extended fasting, to support you on your fat loss journey, because it's really the quickest way to lose fat with the most amount of ease. It's not exercise, right? It's not cutting carbs or cutting calories. I mean, ultimately, indirectly, it is cutting calories, because once you slide your eating window or compress it, then you will be reducing the amount of calories that you eat. But within the meals that you eat in your eating window, you're not restricting yourself. You're not saying, okay, I have to make sure that I count these calories and, trying to adjust them, or portion control and all that kind of stuff. I mean, everyone has their way and their comfort level with managing their eating habits within their eating window. But cutting carbs is not the way to go in terms of trying to cut your calories, because complex carbs, if you're not, diabetic, or if you don't have problems with your blood sugar and with your insulin, for example, a lot of us in this group, we're Black menopausal women, or just being Black women, we're at high risk for insulin resistance. We're at high risk for obesity and for cardiovascular disease and other food related issues, or metabolic diseases. We're at high risk than any other group of women. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we have it, right? We're at risk. We may be pre-diabetic. We may have, conditions that will make us, susceptible to getting these types of diseases. And so by going through, this fasting period, you're able to reverse the effects that your the food has had on your metabolic system. Let's see here. I think I'm getting behind. No, I'm okay. I think I'm okay. I think Brown Girls Invest 2 just left one more message. Thank you for bringing me up to speed. I will get the guide that you mentioned and give it a shot. Thank you so much, Dee, for stopping by. I'm happy that you consider participating in the fast that will take place next week. I just want to repeat, there is a fasting guide. I'll leave the link in the description notes. And for the fast that will take place on Monday, you are not forced to do the one or the other. I have the fasting methods actually compiled into just two, because those two are the ones that I think are the most logical or the easiest for us as menopausal women to implement. Because any other fast, like an extended fast even, that is also in the fasting guide, but that's more for advanced fasters. I repeat, those who want to commit to that are those who know already how fasting actually works, or you like, for instance, Mind and Matter Warrior Fitness has done extended period of fast. She's done 66 hours. You can do, 27 hours, or, 72 hours, or however you decide. If you're familiar with it, you know how your body responds, you know how your body reacts, then you are welcome. You're free to choose and commit to that fast, the extended fast, and do that together with me. That's what I will be doing on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But I am also supporting those who do the intermittent fasting, because if that's what you commit to and it's your first start, or even if you've been doing it, you decide you want to compress your eating window even more so that you can benefit even more from the fast and the benefits that come out of fasting that you maybe don't already experience now. Maybe you haven't had any positive results with losing fat. That could also be the case. And for those who have been intermittent fasting but have not reach your fat loss goals or having challenges or, like I said, roadblocks, then it's perfect time for you to get involved with this fast because we're doing it together. And as a group, we can encourage one another. We also share what those roadblocks are because that helps us to grow as a group, to know who is dealing with what issue. How did they resolve it? How did they get through it? Maybe I'm able to support in some way with the experiences that I have had or that I've even read about clinically that could help you get over the roadblocks or over the hump or overcome whatever issue you're dealing with. Working together, we get faster to our goals because we can share those experiences and we can really learn from one another and support one another through that. And that's the whole purpose of this. And it's free. It's free. So I really do recommend, and I really do hope and encourage you to get involved with a fast next week, starting on Monday. Again, it will be 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Berlin time or GMT time. That's where I am located, and therefore we will be on 2 different time zones, but we'll still be available for each other. I'll be there to address any of the questions you may have or to provide suggestions. We will be working a little bit through the fasting guide because I do want to touch upon some of those things. I know it's 30 pages long. That's a really long fasting guide. But I do that not to overwhelm you or to provide you with a lot of information that will, yeah, kind of keep you stuck. That's actually the opposite of what I want to happen with this fasting guide. I want this fasting guide to be a tool that's helpful for you to know how to manage this fast, what questions that might come up for you. I wanted to already sort of addressed already in the fasting guide, like, whether or not you're able to exercise, if so, what type of exercises, how do I stop cravings in order to continue on with the fast? If I get stuck, what kind of suggestions do you have that will help me to get over the hump? Also, to go a little bit further into detail about the eating window. For those of you who don't know how to actually create an eating window, I have that in the guide as well. The food intake timeline is what I refer to in the fasting guide, and it just explains that when you're considering putting together your eating window, that you should consider the day before the day you want to actually fast. So in this case of this challenge that will start next week, I suggest for those who are going to be doing the intermittent fasting to start already on Sunday, so that if you decide you want to do, and I picked a very easy example, not easy in terms of effort, but easy in terms of calculation, because, I don't want to necessarily have to use my calculator each time. But in terms of calculation, if I say that I'm going to eat between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m., then that's an 8-hour window. And then you have 16-hour fast where you actually will be, tapping into those fat stores. So if that's the case, if you're going to start at 10 a.m. on Monday with your fast, then you want to already start on Sunday with your fasting cycle. So 10 a.m. is your eating window. It's the food intake timeline, the beginning of your eating window. Then that means on Sunday, the night before, the day before, you'll want to start at 6 p.m. Right? Because from 6 p.m. to 10 a.m., you have the 16-hour fasting cycle. And already by 10 a.m., you will know how your body responds to fasting. You'll know whether or not that cycle even makes sense. Can I fast for 16 hours? Is that enough, or is that too much? Maybe I need to consider um, you know, extending my eating window so that my fasting window is smaller. Because we need to be real. We need to have a window that is comfortable for us, in which we will thrive, because we really do want to stay on the journey. We want to commit to a fasting cycle, and we want to see it through. And in order to see it through, we need to do all that we can to get over the hump. And in order to do that, we need to consider all angles. And so if by Monday morning, after you've done your 16-hour fast, the day, like starting from the evening of Sunday into Monday, you realize it is the wrong fasting cycle, you want to either increase it or decrease it, you can do that. You have the freedom to do that. And then either you realize, okay, wasn't enough, I think I can go even longer. Then instead of 10 a.m., you can start your fast at 12 or even 2. However long you can go, you can decide, okay, I think that's possible. I think I can go that long with fasting, and I'm going to try to commit to that over the 3-day period. That's the one example. The other example would be you decide to extend your fast, and then you decide on the second day you're not able to handle it, that was over ambitious, that you were able to handle it on the first day because you still had food in you, but now it's the second day and you realize it's a bit tough. Either you say, I commit to it anyway, and I try to use the tips in the fasting guide to get me through it, and also the encouragement and the support from the group in our group that we're going to have each evening, where we're going to share our experiences and share our challenges. Maybe you will rely on that time period to kind of to hear how other people are getting through it. Maybe that's already enough to feel as though we're all together, we're supporting each other, and you won't feel alone, and therefore think, okay, I think I can manage it, I think I can get through it. And it also could be that you decide that you don't want to extend it, that maybe you keep your eating window at a different, and that it's either longer or shorter, but you don't want to overextend yourself. You don't want to have the distress of not having food and feeling weak with little energy. Whatever you decide, you make the decision, and you can change it up even after you commit to it. We do want to commit to a fasting cycle and see if we're able to get through, because we want to know how we're, under those circumstances, able to overcome certain challenges. If we're able to extend ourselves, not necessarily the fasting cycle, but extend ourselves, past that point of discomfort, not distress. We don't want to be suffering in here. We definitely want to feel as though we're capable, we're able to carry on. We don't, want to have any problems with our bodies later. If and I mentioned this in the fasting guide as well, if at any time you realize that it's beyond your capabilities, the fast, that you can't go on, that you want to stop, and you want to, depending on how you feel, how urgent it is, or if you're having any distress, so that you need medical attention, then you want to stop the fast immediately, and you want to seek as needed medical attention if it gets to that. But we want to do all that we can to make sure that it doesn't get to that. And therefore, I have a lot of suggestions in the fasting guide for you to look through, so that you can, protect yourself against that you can, prepare yourself as well as possible. I also want to mention, it's good, and that's why I'm going to leave that link in the description notes after this call. It's good to look through here as much as you can. Don't get overwhelmed with it. If it's too much, then, just, limit your review of the guide, and we will go through it anyway, sort of step by step. I mean, it won't be into too much detail, because I don't want to get stuck on this. I really want to address any issues that anyone's having, but I will sort of touch upon each of the sections for each day. This will be the basis for our themes each day. And on the last day, I will talk about what the next steps are. I do have the next steps in here, basically that you'll still continue to receive tips and strategies and even recipes from me. If you join me on my Instagram account, I have simple, not, ambitious uh, recipes that are prepared by chefs, but realistic recipes that you can use to prepare for your meal plans, for your meal prepping, or even desserts, fat loss desserts that you'd want to have that will help you to satisfy your cravings, but without increasing your calorie intake, because you obviously the fat loss desserts do have calories in them, but they're fat loss desserts. That means they work towards your fat loss goals, which means they have or contain protein in them, fiber in them, in some cases veggies like carrots or zucchini or avocado, what have you. But the fat loss desserts are there to help you to curb your appetite, to stabilize your blood sugar, and to prevent you from overeating. That's the purpose of the fat loss dessert, not to have necessarily a dessert that has the lowest amount of calories as possible. That is also important, but you're not going to sacrifice the other elements of the fat loss dessert just for the sake of the calories, because that's not the end goal. The end goal is not to reduce the calories necessarily, but it's to overcome overeating, to get you to stop eating past your calorie requirements. And that's not something that I'm measuring or calculating. I don't mean in this way. I think what's easiest to sort of get us all thinking is more in terms of how do we feel, you know, intentionally. Sorry, not intentionally, but intuitively, in terms of, our fullness. Are we feeling as though we have, reached our satiation? Are we full? Are we eating just for the sake of taste? Am I just grazing in the kitchen and snacking on, this and that because I'm bored? We don't want this. We really want to know I'm full, I'm finished, my eating window is closed, and I'm done. Because getting in that habit helps us really to manage our eating habits in the best way possible. Okay, so I think I have talked enough about, how this is going to begin on Monday, how we will start, how you can start depending on what cycle you are going to, or what fasting cycle you're going to use. And I just realized that now that I'm talking about it, I did talk a lot about the intermittent fasting because I believe that the majority of us will probably choose that fasting method, particularly if you're new to fasting, then that's the safest, gentlest way to start. For the advanced fasters who have fasted in the past and they know, like I said, how their body reacts and responds to fasting, then the extended fast could possibly be the way to go, depending on what benefits or results you want to have. But for the intermittent fasting, you know how you're going to start. You're going to start on Sunday, the day before, to create your fasting window prior to your eating window, so you know how your body responds to the fast, whether or not you want to extend it, or if you want to reduce it or compress your eating window. And for those who are going to be doing the advanced fasting, more than 24 hours, I didn't talk too much about how you will begin, but I do want to say that if you're going to do the extended fast, I'm actually pretty confident that if you're going to be doing that, that you kind of know how it goes. You've looked into it before. If you haven't, make sure you do, sort of look more at the details in the guide. But I'm confident that you kind of know how it works, and therefore you know how your body already responds. But if you don't, then starting the extended fast on Monday will mean and be more beneficial to you if you would already start with your meal on Sunday, a lighter meal, a meal plant-based, fully plant-based, because when you have the animal protein and fat, your body requires more energy and it takes longer to break down the animal fat and protein. But the plant-based food, in terms of veggies, not all veggies, because if you have legumes, the fiber is harder for your body. It takes longer for your body to break down. That's why it's good as a complex carb, like beans, lentils, or chickpeas, or kidney beans, or whatever, to have that, because your blood sugar stays more stable longer, because it takes longer for that fiber to break down. So it's not all plant-based foods, but veggies that are easily digestible, those are the veggies or the foods that you want to have the night before if you're going to participate in the extended fast. So sweet mashed potatoes, you might want to have that the night before. You might want to have even something as simple as a veggie broth with real vegetables in them, like carrots or scallions, maybe some mushrooms, mild veggies that are easily digestible, so that you would have to cook the carrots before or steam them, so that your body is able to sort of break that down a lot easier going into your fast. That's for the extended fasters. So that's what I would suggest. And also, I didn't say that for either of their groups, but you really want to make sure that the activities that you have scheduled or planned for the week on those 3 days, that they are planned in such a way that you have, less stress. You don't want to have a lot of stressful activities going on that are going to weigh upon you as you're fasting, because your energy level goes down, your performance goes down. So even like meetings that require you to invest a lot of effort, concentration, maybe you have a presentation and you really need your energy, then it may not be a good thing for you to plan for the extended fast. That would be for those schedules that have less activities going on, less stressful activities, unless you're a really advanced faster, like I said, and you know how to handle it, how to manage through that stress. But for the most part, for the majority of us, we want to reduce the stress as much as possible, planning for that week in such a way that we are able to manage our activities and fast at the same time with the least amount of stress. So, with that said, I don't have any more questions in the live chat. So, I'm going to move forward then in putting the link into the description notes. If you have any questions, any more questions after the call, you still can put your questions or any comments in the comments below the video, and I will get back to them. If you have anything that you want me to address on the day of the fast, the first day of the fast, then put that in the comments and I will bring that into our live coaching call. Other than that, I will send the link out with the fasting guide. Please take a look, read through it, get familiar with those things that maybe are most important for you, whether that is the types of foods that will help you to break the fast, or exercise, if that's a thing, or in terms of the actual type of fast. Maybe there are more details that are in the fasting guide than what I've touched upon. So go ahead and look through it. And once I send the link out, or put the link in the description notes, it will take me just a few minutes because I need to, set it up and link it up. But you will be getting it. And like I said, you will just need to, it's a free guide. You don't pay for it. You just need to confirm that you're subscribing. So click on the subscribe and then you'll get an email just a few minutes perhaps later. And in that email, you'll have the link to download this fasting guide. So I will send that to you. And yeah, I wish you all a wonderful weekend. And even during the weekend, if you have questions, put them in the comments. I will try to address them on Monday. If there's anything that I haven't already talked about or touched upon this evening. And you please feel free to really take your time and determine what type of fasting method is the best for you. And, based on the content in the fasting guide, or even do your own research, Google and see what makes the most sense, and use this challenge as a way to, gain all the support that you can, gather and collect all the support you can from all of those who are going to be in the challenge, myself included. I'll be doing the challenge as well, Monday through Wednesday. And we will support one another. We will encourage one another. We will share our experiences and ask questions. And like I said, use it as an opportunity to, experiment with the fast and see if it's something for you, if it can bring you closer to your fat loss results quicker, much quicker than any other tool or strategy or method, as I believe it can. Even more so than exercise. Exercise is 20% of the formula, and eating habits and everything around nutrition, that's 80% of the formula. So really take your time with figuring out if this is something for you. I do have another comment here from Mazuba Mavale. Not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Oh, very sweet. This has been helpful. I will give it a shot. I have tried walking daily. It does help melt the belly fat. Oh, girl, yes, it does. It really, really does. It is a battle. It's a battle. I know. And I walk myself. I used to, in the past, jog daily. Then I injured my knee and I had to rely or switch up my exercise plan to walking. And it was really the best experience, because even though I was jogging, I did walk daily because I would work and then I would go out in the afternoons for my walk. Didn't matter, whatever time I had available, whether it was a half an hour or an hour, I tried to walk as much as possible and try to get in those 10,000 steps that we all try to reach. And I really found walking amazing, such an amazing exercise, even more so than, doing aerobics or anything like that, which I loved to do in the past, because it was a time for me to really relax. I would always have not always. There's some times where I just want to have a break and I go for, maybe a spiritual walk, and I just want to, look at the nature and, really connect with what's around me and not be stuck with the headphones. But a lot of the time I have the headphones on and I'm listening to podcasts, and I'm listening to, encouraging, motivational or inspirational content. And that helps me as well during those times. And that it kind of switches up the scene if I've been working, and then I can, kind of set my head free with going on a walk. It's phenomenal, really, because there's so many benefits to it. I think we don't give it enough credit. So I think that's great that you're using that as a tool to exercise. And I really do hope that you take a shot with the fast starting on Monday. If you have any additional questions, you can leave them in the chat or in the comments. I'm excited for you that you're going to start. And I really hope, if it's your first time getting into it, that you share your results, because I would really like to know, for someone who is just starting with it, if you haven't already before, maybe you have, but if you haven't already before, I would really like to know how you benefit from it. And if you think it's something that you're able to do long-term, incorporate in your lifestyle seamlessly with the intermittent fasting, the sliding eating window, because I want to know, if it's really beneficial to us as Black menopausal women or Black women who are just trying to lose fat. Because I think for myself, it really has been valuable, and I want to continue to share it with as many women as I can in our community. And hearing your results and how it has helped you, if at all, would be a gift for me. So please share all that you can. Thank you so much. I thank you for hanging on with me and staying on the call and listening to all that I had to say about the fast. Um, I meant to say it doesn't. I feel good walking, but the belly fat doesn't go away. Aha. Okay. Yes, this is true. This is very true. Like I said, exercise is just a portion of the formula, and it's a very small, it's not a very, very small, but significantly small portion of the formula. It's literally, I say 20%. It could be even smaller, it could be even slightly a little bit bigger, but nutrition is really the key. If you're able to manage that, if you're able to crack the code with how you can improve your eating habits, then that's where the magic lies, really, because the tool of fasting is one of the strategies, the number one strategy in getting us to improve our eating habits. And if you're able to do that, if you're able to learn for yourself how you can work that, then you're going to see how incredibly beneficial it is. It's the easiest tool. Once you get a hang of it, once you acclimate to it, once you adapt to it, you'll see how well it fits into your routine and how well you're able to use it to your benefit, use it to your advantage to get quicker to your fat loss goals. I'm glad that you feel good about walking. Continue to do it, even though the belly fat hasn't gone away. But you will see through the fasting how the fat stores will start to deplete depending on which fasting cycle you'll take. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But I do have a course called the Belly Be Gone course. And I will talk about that maybe a little bit on Wednesday. That's also a course that you will want to maybe consider, that you may want to consider, that can help you with maybe the belly fat, if that's, because that is a big concern that we have as menopausal women, or even if you're not menopausal, maybe you do still want to get rid of belly fat. But we know with hormonal changes that the fat redistributes once we hit a certain age, once we go into menopause, then it redistributes, and mainly around the belly. And so this is a big, one of the big issues that we have with our fat loss. And this is something, the Belly Be Gone course that can help you towards that. Obviously, the fasting as well. And that's a part of the Belly Be Gone course, and it's continued support for you. So if that's something that might help you, then you might want to consider that. And I will also provide that. I do have that actually in the link in the description notes. So you can consider looking at that as well. But if you just want to have support and figure it out on your own, that's fine as well. And I'm here for that as well. Looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it as well that you joined. You are menopausal. Okay, that is good to know. That means that you're in the right community and you share a lot of the same issues and symptoms that we have, the common issues. Maybe not all, but parts of it, whether it's cravings, sweet tooth, or hot flashes, or disrupted sleep, maybe mood swings or anxiety. Definitely the belly fat, as you said, is a symptom or concern that we have in this community. So I'm here for it. I'm happy that you've joined. So glad to have you in the group, and so psyched that you're going to try with the challenge on Monday. And I hope to see you or hear from you or read you on Monday. Definitely check out the guide. I'll leave the link in the description notes. Like I said, it's just going to take a few moments because I need to link it up. The guide is like 30 pages long. And so I need to sort of condense it and then link it up, and then I'll send it out. So I'm going to be doing that within, let's say, I said in the beginning it was going to take a couple minutes, but as the evening's sort of going on, I think it's going to take just a little bit longer because, have to organize dinner, blah, 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 blah. So within the hour, I'm going to send the link. You'll have it. It's the weekend. You'll have plenty of time before Monday to look through it. Like I said, I also will be going over the content in the guide on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday together. So if you can't get through all of it, it is a lot. Don't feel forced to, don't overwhelm yourself. We will work through it together. Just, maybe sort of kind of look through it and see if there's the one or the other, theme or information that is relevant for you. So with that, I wish you all a lovely rest of your day. Thank you so much for hanging in there, staying in there with me, and listening to, what I have to share. And I look forward to seeing you on Monday. Have a great weekend. And like I said, already starting on, Sunday, consider preparing yourself for the transition into the Monday fast, whichever cycle you choose, whichever fasting cycle you decide to choose for you. So have a great weekend. Take care. And again, thank you so much for joining. It is my pleasure. Take care.